How are you, Chris? How are you doing? Where are you right now? Like in the States?
I'm doing good. I'm in Brooklyn, Crown Heights. Chill day so far. Just picked up some laundry. Nice chill Sunday vibe, so can't complain.
I guess like how was it growing up in the United States? Like I'm always curious like cuz growing up in the Caribbean, like one thing is we were always in awe of like everything that Americans had, and as like a Caribbean American essentially, I'm curious like what your experience was growing up in like New Jersey, which I guess like is New Jersey even like a very diverse community? Like what was the experience like living there?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I grew up in Teaneck, and Teaneck is mad diverse, mad diverse. Probably one of the most diverse, places in the country. Like to lay the scene, I guess for Teaneck, it's like at one point we had a Muslim mayor with a town that was about 40 something% Jewish, and so like where else in the world could that exist? In like the public school system. So a lot of the Jewish people in town they went to the yeshivas, and so the public school system didn't have that much Jewish students, but everyone else went to the public schools, and so it ended up being about like 40% Black, about 30% Hispanic, a ton of Filipino people too growing up, and of course white people too. So it was really a mismatch of everybody, like a melting pot. Teaneck is just a crazy place. You take it for granted. I definitely did. Um, until I went to like other places to where, in Teaneck, race is just, less of a conversation point. Your friends look like everybody, Um, I definitely think, it's a huge difference. Like the people that I grew up with is definitely, you take it for granted for sure. Not like people just don't think about race as much, or if you do think about race, it's because, like everybody. So you don't have these preconceived notions, and it's diversity too, even within races. Like black people are Caribbean, there's Jamaicans, Haitians, like there's Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, like people from my school, Filipino people, Colombian people. Like people are from everywhere, so definitely a huge melting pot. And really just glad I got to grow up in Teaneck.
Sweet. I'm curious, like what is it? No, because I've never been to New Jersey, and when I thought of it, it was like very much this snooky place, with like these
Mhm.
like weird reality TV shows. I'm curious, is that kind of like do those shows I think like represent what it's like to live in New Jersey, or are you just like it's completely skewed, not like that
N-
at all?
nah, completely skewed. It's not like that. So Jersey, there's North Jersey and then there's South Jersey, right? Some people that live in towards the middle of the state, they try to claim Central Jersey. Central Jersey is not really a thing, but there's North Jersey. Pretty much, if you're above Newark, you're in North Jersey, and if you're below Newark, you're in South Jersey. Like Snooki, all that. They're not even from New York. They're like New York. They're not even from New Jersey. Um, and so they're not even from Jersey. They're from New York. So like their accents, everything about them is not really. It's not indicative of like. It's not even South Jersey for real. They're New Yorkers just making a TV show. There's definitely like that kind of Guido culture though, like down by the shore, like a lot of Italians down there. That kind of behave in that way, but that's more of a down the shore thing. Like North Jersey, and again, it even depends what town you're in, But like I'm from Bergen County, so it's a pretty affluent county. But like all the towns are different. So like Hackensack, Teaneck, Englewood, very diverse towns. Whereas like a town like Tenafly, for example, is mostly white and Asian. There's like a lot of like mostly white towns in the area too. It really just depends like even what town you're in, not even county, so it all depends where you're at. But now Jersey, I think like you're just exposed to a lot. It's the um highest density housing area in the country, I think, like northern New Jersey. And so like it's insane. It's like you can meet anybody, from kind of any walk of life. So it's a dope place to grow up. It's not like the most busy, it's not the city, it's not a lot going on all the time, but it's just like it's a great place to grow up, if you were gonna raise a family, great place to raise a family kind of place.
I guess, like, what like, drove your parents to moving to Teaneck in the first place?
Yeah, no, they were just thinking, family planning. So it was like at the time they were looking at apartments in the city in Brooklyn, and then they were looking at stuff in New Jersey. Then they just made the call that they thought like the suburbs, New Jersey was just going to be a better home environment, better family environment than growing up in Brooklyn. But you got to think too, Brooklyn like then wasn't even Brooklyn now, and so like I'm sure now it's like, damn, we should have bought that brownstone in Brooklyn, because like there's a couple mil right there, that could have been that they could have been up. But yeah, I mean, now at the time they were just looking like where's the better school systems, where's it more calm, more peaceful, like where could children be raised better, and they made the call that Jersey was the better spot.
Interesting. I guess, like, is being close to New York, does that, like, affect, like, kind of the things that you do when you're, like, living in this area? Because I always assume, like, people are on the subway and they're, like, going in the city and you're, enjoying New York City, which is honestly a really fun place with, like,
Hmm.
so much busing culture and art, just, like, people being uniquely themselves. I'm sure, like, that
Yeah.
must definitely influence just, like, your whole perspective being that close to it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I mean, you got to think. So the bus will stop right by the corner by my house, and I could be in Port Authority and then be anywhere in the city from Port Authority, But it's it's interesting. It's like when you're growing up in Teaneck, like or any town, I guess, you grow up there. It's like all your friends are in Teaneck, like or all your friends are in the town you grow up in. So it's not like you'd have a reason to be running to the city all the time. So of course you would go like sometimes every once in a while, and then it feels cool. But like the city really was right there. A lot of people have family in the city, that kind of thing. So you might go visit family, but not for the most part. I mean, living in Teaneck, so you're gonna hang out with people at the park there. You're not gonna go all the way to the city for that. And I think like to your point as far as people being like uniquely themselves, I think definitely the town I grew up in, like it really facilitates that because like all types of different people. And so that just lends to like everybody kind of being accepting of everybody. Like we had all types of people in my high school. It was incredibly inclusive, and so I think I think just being around so many different types of people definitely led to that feeling. But I don't know if the proximity to the city and the proximity to the city probably help bring people to that area in general anyway, help make it the town that it is, of course. But I don't like we don't really it wasn't like we were taking a bus all the time, man.
I feel you, I feel you. I guess then, like, what got you into, like, wanting to be an engineer and then move all the way to Michigan?
Word, yeah. So I took engineering class my senior year of college, or sorry, of high school, senior year of high school, and it was a dope class. It was all project based. Oh no, I got it mixed up. Junior year I took this class, junior year of high school, and it was project based. So we were doing like making a camera, a pinhole camera from scratch. So just using like boxes, and then just doing film exposure, so really basic camera. Like we did they gave each of us these digital cameras, these cheap digital cameras. We were doing drop tests where you got to drop it from like 50 feet. It has to ascend slowly and take 3 pictures on the way down. So we're like programming a servo motor, like we're sitting there, putting circuits together, making parachutes, making like a encasing for the camera, all project based, and it was really fun, really interesting. It wasn't a whole lot of papers or anything in that class, and I kind of just liked, getting my hands on something. I'm like, oh yeah, this is fun. Engineering seems cool. Came to find out later that that's not what engineering in college is, but that's the kind of why engineering, and then from there, why Michigan, like why go to Michigan. So I just applied to a whole bunch of Big Ten schools, really, and then also applied to like Penn, Stanford, and like Northeastern or something like that. And then didn't get into Stanford. That probably would have been my top choice. But really, my criteria was just I want to go to a school that has a good reputation, big alumni network, and has like school pride, a lot of fun, like that kind of thing. And so really that's Big Ten schools, you know, like all of them have pretty good academic reputations, as well as being pretty good at sports, like and having you know, good just like school pride basically. So then Michigan ended up being the best school I got into, but they didn't give me the same, you know, package that Rutgers had given me at first, or Northeastern. So from Northeastern to Rutgers, I got like full tuition. And so and Rutgers has like the Jersey promise, where you know if you're in the top whatever percent of your high school, they'll give you that full tuition. So at that point, it's looking like, all right, I'll just go to Rutgers then, because I wasn't really feeling Northeastern. And then I went out. I got invited out like for just a weekend to see the school at Michigan, and during that, so they paid for my flight to come visit, and just the people I was on the visit with, like they were all awesome. You know, still talk to some of those people just from like a random school visit, which is crazy to me. Like you know, senior year in high school, just flying out to visit this school, and now I still see some of these people, but yeah, it was just an incredible campus. Like I really loved the vibe. And then I met Daryl, who runs the M-STEM program. And then Daryl was like, "So you coming to Michigan?" Like he had invited me to his office during that weekend. And I'm like, "Listen, I want to come to Michigan, like, but the money's, you know, it doesn't make sense." And he's like, "Is it just a money thing? You know, you would come here otherwise?" I'm like, "Yeah." 2 weeks later, you know, I get the letter like back that I'm getting the same scholarship that I got at Rutgers, you know, so like for Michigan. So he hooked it up. At that point, the money was the same, and so I wouldn't have to go into debt to go to school. And so I was like, oh yeah, it's a no brainer. Go to Michigan, go blue.
Facts. It's crazy. Honestly, I was so grateful, like, during my time at Michigan when they changed the policy and they were, like, making it so much easier for people to go there for free. I was like,
Yep.
"This is lit. This is
Facts.
lit." Like, this whole concept of a refund check was, like, so new to me. I was like, "Wait, you guys are getting paid to be here?" I was, like, shook.
Yep.
I was like, "What?" What? I'm like, nobody told me that this was a thing. I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, I need to figure out how to get in this. We need to cultivate a plan.
Yeah.
But I'm
No,
curious,
insane.
like, you said like engineering wasn't what you expected. Like,
Yo, it was trash in college. Like, so you get in there first semester, Engine 100, right? Right off the bat. So that's a project based class. And it's kind of some of the same, you know, tenets. Like, there's, of course, some classroom learning, lecture style stuff in there too. But even that was starting to throw me off because it's like, just throw you in the deep end, you know? So, like, the class I took was on, it was we had to create these kind of solar trackers. Basically, it was like we had to make a solar panel face the direction of a solar lamp that was like mimicking the sun. So it's something that could like track the sun the whole day basically. And so like it like all aspects of it. So building, you know, building the actual structure, like coding again, like using our like Arduino and servos. And so then servo motors, and then like we're sitting there in what is it called, help me out here, soldering, we're soldering
mm,
wires and
yeah,
stuff, like we're using the diodes to try to track the sun. So that stuff was all really fun, like in lab, you know, just figuring it out. And like the class was cool. I literally yet like yesterday night I was at like this rooftop in the city with someone I met in that class,
I'm
like so,
dead.
you know, it's dope. It's definitely dope from that perspective, but like nah, but you know, and on the test in that class, they're having us like, if there was two suns and one sun was at this location and one's at this location, like what's the exact solar capacity of? I'm sitting there like, yo, what? Like what are they talking about? And then everything is just so theoretical. You know, a bunch of prereqs that you don't really actually use too much. At least I was in industrial engineering, so I didn't have to use them a whole bunch going through, and like classes were just hard, you know. And really after Engine 100, there was nothing that was like hands-on project based. Everything was kind of just like, here's this PowerPoint, now do this hard ass test. You know, like that's all it was.
That is hilarious. Yeah, I felt like for EECS especially, everything was like math and the more I was like, "Oh, like, this is the last bit of math," they're like, "Oh, no, there's more. It just keeps coming." I'm curious, like, did you know from the get-go that you wanted to do IOE, or, like, was it like a journey of figuring out which of the different engineerings was, like, the most interesting after you kinda get that smack in the face with, like, all the math and theoretical stuff that you're kinda like, "Wait, what? What is this?"
Nah, it was I figured it out during M-STEM, but really what it was I get to M-STEM, we're taking these classes during M-STEM, so like Calc 1, we're doing like kind of a comp sci primer too, like with like MATLAB and C++. So I'm taking these and I'm like, low key I should have done CS. If I would have went back, I should have done CS. But really I was looking, I'm like, all right, if I'm not gonna do CS, because at the time I'm like, all right, this would be crazy. And I'm looking at these other classes, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a whole lot of math and physics. I'm looking at IOE, like, okay, IO easy, like that's what people were calling it. I'm rocking with that. I could do that. And then on top of that, one of the math instructors during the M-STEM program, he was studying, he's getting his PhD in industrial engineering, and like his research was focused on disparities in the racial justice system. And so I was like, what? How are you using IOE for that? And then he's breaking it down for us, how he's using different modeling practices, and just different like queuing things for like racial justice systems, especially in like the criminal justice system. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of dope that you can do that like with an IOE degree. But yeah, so it was one, just he was mad cool. He was showing that there's a lot of different applications than I might have thought, just factories and stuff. And then two is, I was like, all right, if it's gonna be the easiest engineering, I'm rocking with it.
That is hilarious. I guess, like, what what do you guys learn essentially in IOE? Because I never even got to take one of those classes.
I don't really know. I don't. Nah, what do we do? We did like queuing systems. We did some like linear algebra type stuff, ergonomics, decision theory. Uh, I mean, what else did we study? Statistics. There's a few statistics classes. Shoot, what did I study?
I guess, like, have you used any of these, like, concepts in any of your internships or, like, when you worked at Accenture after graduation?
Not at Accenture. Definitely not at Accenture. I'd say the only internship where I used like any skills that I learned in or anything that I learned from classes was at General Mills. I was in a manufacturing environment, and so ergonomics was actually kind of the root of one of my projects. And so they had a lot of injuries getting caused by people that were reaching for heavy boxes on high shelves. So it just seems like common sense more than, a whole ergonomics class, but lower the heavy things on the shelves, people will get less injured. But um definitely like, yeah, ergonomics principles, just figuring out like how to optimize workstations. So there's people doing like a lot of repetitive motions, as far as like weighing out different ingredients for some of the packaged goods we were making. So it was like it was some ergonomic stuff, not too much besides that, like terms maybe, first in, first out. Um, but nothing that wasn't really common sense, to be honest. Like General Mills, though, is the only time I use like even the same, like at least terminology as stuff I was learning in class. At AWS, I was doing tech sales, so nothing from the classes. And then at Accenture, I was, doing bullshit PowerPoint slides. So again, nothing from nothing from class.
I guess, like, of all the classes, like, that you took at Michigan, was there any that, like, you were, like, highly recommend, would always take this class?
For sure. I'm taking Jazz 450, that's meditation. If there's any Michigan students that just that happen to see this, I need them to take Jazz 450. Um yeah, Martha Travers, amazing teacher. I hope she's still teaching that class. But it was just you go up there, you're meditating for 2 hours. She might have you just walk around aimlessly. Like she'll be like, "Yeah, go walk around North Campus with no destination in mind." She just like it was insane. She'd let you fall asleep in class. She'd be like, "If you're tired, you need to listen to your body." It was just the most calming, just amazing class. She had us read. I got it here somewhere.
Peace with Every Step by
Yep.
Nat Khan. Yeah, I feel you. No, Martha is a G. She don't even
I got him.
a
I
G.
got him right here below the mic. Pieces every step and pieces every breath. Yeah, it was amazing, absolutely amazing. And then Marcus Collins is goaded. So he did a social media marketing class. He's down in Ross. That's the best teacher I ever had in my life, though, hands down. It's just if for nothing, if for no other reason but to just see his teaching style and see the way that he interacts with the room, it makes it worth the class. This man will sit there in a 60-person lecture and call out every person by name, but not in a malicious way. Like you've everyone's kind of had teachers that'll call you out when you look like you're not paying attention. He's the type of teacher that'll like call you out when he knows you're paying attention, but keeping everyone in the room involved. So everyone's locked in, cause especially because they know he could call out. And two, he just makes it almost like a conversation. You're in a 60-person lecture, but you're having a one-on-one conversation through a topic like with him. He's, not text heavy on any of his slides. He's pretty much just showing pictures up there and then just teaching you. And it's like his teaching style was insane. Like the way he could capture audience was insane. And then two, the content was just cool. He was doing so it was a social media marketing class, but it was really just it was more of just I wouldn't even say social media was the main focus of it. It was just it was just a marketing class and like how can you capture people's attention. Some of the books he had us read were awesome. Start with Why, Connected. Just a ton of great books in there too that he had us read, and he's just really really cool guy.
Sweet. Yeah, no. That I feel like there are some great professors in Ross, but in engineering is tough. You gotta you really gotta check rate my prof to
Yeah.
dodge them bullets. No, Martha, hands down, Jazz 450. If you can take it, take it. That's all I'm gonna say. Like
Yep.
you should not miss that at all. Did you know there was a yoga one too? There was like a yoga class you could have take. Amazing. It was
uh,
like the best
I'm
way to
s-
start the day. So good. And it was also in, like, the same room, so it was just, like, awesome,
I wish I would have taken that one. Oh, dance. Take the dance classes too. The dance 100 ones. Those are fun.
bro. But, yeah, all them weeder classes in the beginning, I swear, are just set up to make your life absolutely miserable and make you question every decision you've ever made. Um, Tip is just Washina. Washina was the hack that I feel like if you weren't taking your classes at Washina, what were you really doing?
Yo, yeah, I didn't learn to hack until Calc 3, but yeah, after Calc 3, I took Calc 3 there, Physics 2. Like I should have took linear there. I to ended up taking linear in Michigan, but yeah, Washtenaw. If I would have did college over,
The
that's like one of the
secret.
yeah, one of the few things I would have definitely changed was I would have taken Calc 1, 2, 3, linear. I would have taken every
All
prereq.
of them, all
Yeah,
of them.
everything except maybe physics one. I would have just taken that Washtenaw because physics one with Dr. Mike, that one was solid. That one was very
That was
solid. But
solid. I feel like after our year though, they like caught on and then it was less solid,
it
but
was it
up
became
till then it was rocking. It was the keys you needed for success. Like to
facts.
me, college was literally the game of finesse. Like how could you make it through with all your here in 4 years and get out. Just flow through it. But
Yep.
ridiculous. Every time I'm like talk about my degree, I'm like, yeah, let's not go back to that. Okay, we did it. We're out now. Let's not go back there.
Facts.
But COVID was a clutch because COVID made all classes be remote, and it was like, thank you,
Oh, and
thank
pass
you,
fail too. It was a
thank
blessing.
you. Um, I guess like how was it after we graduated for you, like working at Accenture during COVID?
Garbage. Yeah, absolutely hot trash. Well, so first graduate after graduation, great summer, amazing summer. Being in Ann Arbor, like being with all my friends every day, floating down the river, like with you and Will and Mike, like it's just, an amazing summer.
Vibes,
Yeah,
vibes.
absolute vibes. Like all getting unemployment too, just no cares in the world. Like cap it off with that road trip that I took too. Just absolutely phenomenal summer. Get back to Teaneck. I'm you could say excited to start at Accenture, get the laptop, log in, and then boom, they throw us all on this project that I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about the details on a podcast, but just know it was a terrible, terrible project. Like literally the first time I'm seeing coworkers getting anxiety and panic attacks and stuff because of work. I started getting panic attacks because of work, and that was about that started in September, and then that was in December I started getting those panic attacks. Just absolutely crazy, crazy start to the career, I guess. But yeah, and it was insane. I remember I even had and I won't say who, but someone at Accenture, like I was disclosing to them like that I was starting to get anxiety and stuff from the project, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's real common. Just take some Xanax." And they were really thinking of it as, great advice. They really thought they were giving me, some groundbreaking advice, but I'm like, "Take Xanax." Like, "What? Hell no." I'm not like there's no way. And so eventually I did get like a medical accommodation to get off of the project that I was on, and from there then it just became some normal bad job stuff. Like just they would try to send me work till 11:30 at night on my first project, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so I'm getting overtime for this, right?" And then they're like, "Oh, no, usually analysts just want to help the team out." I'm like, "Help the team out?" I'm like, "All my documentation says, overtime." At the celebration day when we got the offers, you said overtime. When we started, HR was telling us like in the first 2 week orientation, overtime. So I'm like, definitely gonna get some overtime. And then they're talking about help the team out. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna close my laptop at 5. Y'all have a good one though. And so then, like, yeah, definitely, and it definitely got a little dicey too because my manager, when I said I'm closing my laptop at 5, she's like, oh, we need to set up a call for expectations. So we hop on this expectations call. I'm sitting there like, oh, I'm so glad you set this up. I do want to lay out some expectations for you. Do not send me work past 5 o'clock. And if you do, send me a reason why it has to get done today. And, it can't wait till tomorrow. And then I will be charging overtime for the hours work past that. So then obviously that conversation didn't go my way. My manager wasn't thrilled. But no, I mean, I definitely did kind of lock in on that though. I just worked for 9 to 5, and closed my laptop. I wasn't gonna be sitting there messing with them, and part of it was just like, and a lot of corporate jobs are like this. People just create this artificial rush. But like this was a project that had been going for a year and a half, and they really hadn't produced anything except some slides. But it would be like they'd have me work on an 100 slide deck, or just around 100. Like I don't remember the exact number, and then in the meeting, like they're only going through 4 or 5 slides. So it's like, what do we just do this for? Like it'd be a Friday, they're like, oh, we need to create this net new deck, and it's just because it was an internal project working with the C-suite, so they just thought everything needed to be done quick. But it's like, listen, the C-suite's not going to look at these slides. It's like, this could wait till Monday. But yeah, it was just it was a weird environment, and not the whole thing was weird. Like definitely some great coworkers that I had, like that I've met. Like one I saw a few weeks ago, like she was just in the city, and like really cool people. I was on one project, learning to lead, right? I met a ton of cool people that I've seen in real life too since then, like even after I left Accenture. So definitely met some cool people. And like I had projects that were cool, especially the learning to lead one, which was with a nonprofit. But it was overall pretty bad experience working for Accenture for sure. But
But
take
at
some good
least,
out of it too.
the silver lining is they motivated you to, like, go after your own thing, and I think, like, that's pretty awesome to, like,
Mhm.
be brave enough to be like, "I'm gonna go and figure out how to sustain myself financially without having to have a boss that's someone else." And I'm curious,
Yeah.
like, how did you kinda go about figuring out, like, becoming an entrepreneur right out of college, essentially, in the middle of, like, a freaking pandemic that's still technically, she trailing on, she trailing on.
Yeah, she's trailing on, but she don't exist anymore for real, you know. We forgot her. But no, I would say yeah, like the way it started. I mean, my friend Raheem reached out to me, and this is back in, I want to say, September 2020. And then he just told me that he told me about buying businesses. It sounded like an amazing concept, you know. So I'm like, bro, we definitely got to do this. And then at that point, he's like, "Oh, cool. Like, I didn't think people would be interested." And at the time, like a lot of people we would talk to, they weren't like, they were like, buy businesses. They're like, what are you even talking about? Like, but no, then me, Raheem, and then Mark and Zante, the four of us just, we started trying. And so at that point, we had no idea what we were doing. We're putting in terrible offer sheets for some of these businesses. Brokers are like, yo, y'all got to get serious. We didn't know about funding at the time, so we didn't know we can get loans to acquire these. We're trying to crowdsource. We really had no idea. And so it was kind of just like anything you do is just getting started. Like you can get started and then just iterate. So finding podcasts on the topic, finding books on the topic. Buy Then Build was a great book by Walker Dybel that kind of broke it down. It's a little dry for sure, but definitely a great book. As far as just breaking down the concepts to you and really teaching you almost like a manual on how to do it. And then there's so much podcasts out there, like on the subject, so many other people doing this. And I mean, like on Twitter, there's so many people that are doing this as well that are really responsive. And you can just reach out to them and ask them questions. So yeah, it's just one of those things you got to just get started, and it definitely is a little challenging. Working with the banks, trying to get funding, definitely challenging, but once you get it done, definitely very rewarding.
Yeah, I guess, like, how did you go about, like, securing a loan when, you're just out of college? They're like, "What is your capital to kind of assure that you're gonna pay us back all this money?" I guess, like, did it help that there was, like, the 4 of you versus there being, like, 1 or 2 people?
Yeah, of course, having four of us was helpful. But on the first loan, like we wanted to protect all of ourselves as guarantors. Well, so you have one guarantor for the loan, right? Or or you need a guarantor for the loan, right? But you don't need everyone to be a guarantor. And the SBA will give every person up to $5 million in funding. And so when we were first getting the loan, we were like, okay, we want as much access to these SBA funds as possible. And so we limited the first one to just me being the guarantor so that, in the future we can still tap into more of that funding because each person gets up to five. But it's like if two people are a guarantor and hypothetically the business costs $1 million, then both those two people used up 1 million of the funding that they have available. So um like having more people was helpful, yes, but it didn't necessarily change like the profile for the bank. So using SBA funding is really how we were able to get it done. And so SBA funding, they're going to look at the financials of the business, see if the business could pay them back. Um, like we don't have collateral. We don't have homes to put up. We have cash in the bank. We can make our down payment, and then of course they're looking at our personal financial statements. So how much money are we making? What are our jobs? That kind of thing. How much debt do we have, if any? How much income are we getting from what sources? What's our credit scores? That kind of thing. But the SBA, by guaranteeing the loans, they just help the banks be more comfortable. So that like if we were to default, the SBA would come in, and then through the fees that we gave the SBA, and that every person that uses an SBA loan gives the SBA, they're able to guarantee these loans so that, if we defaulted, they could pay the bank back. So it just makes the bank more comfortable. But yeah, it was just whenever we found about SBA funding, then kind of opened up a lot of doors for us. But it was just something we had to learn about.
I feel you. So I guess like how did you go about finding a business to buy? Like is this just you typing in Google businesses for sale or like you're going to like a specific like dashboard for that type of endeavor?
No, that's the thing. You definitely could just Google that. There's brokerages the same way that there's brokerages, to buy a home. There's brokerages to buy businesses, and so we just found like a very reputable one, and went from there. We were looking at a bunch of different brokerages at first, and then at one point we even sent out like mass emails to thousands of brokerages, just using like a I think it's GMass like extension, just sending out our criteria, seeing what came back. But that kind of wasn't as useful as just going with some of the top brokers and looking through the businesses they listed. But yeah, we found one we liked. Like we liked the financials of the business. We liked the recurring revenue. We liked that it was simple, easy to understand, asset light. So there wasn't any tangible office space. There wasn't any equipment we needed. Just people online basically. And so yeah, from there we moved forward, got it under a letter of intent, and then just made it happen. Did the diligence process, and it took a lot longer than we thought it would to go through diligence and then get the funding squared away. But after we acquired it, the business has ran very smooth. We've made some hires too. It's been a really cool process.
That's super cool. I guess like so what is like your like what do you guys look at when you're thinking, okay, this is a business that we think is worth the investment?
Yeah. So we're looking, one, we want it to be asset light. We want it to be easy. So asset light, just like we don't want to buy a plant where you need to replace the machinery every so often. We don't want, a physical location, that kind of thing. Then you have we want it to be simple. We want to be able to explain it easily. We don't want it to be something where you got to take a whole course to try to figure out what's going on here, like tons of different levers, tons of different stuff going on. We want it to be like very easy to explain the business. We want as much recurring revenue as possible. So even if it's not growing at like a crazy rate, we want everything to be repeatable. So we want the income to be locked in over long periods of time if possible. We want as much of the money to be recurring versus one-off payments as possible, that sort of thing. And then some low-hanging fruit, of course, too, is always beneficial. So with our first website, with our first business, the website hadn't been updated since 2008, and so we're almost done now with the like refurbishing the website, putting out a new site. And so that's just some low-hanging fruit to hopefully make some more money on the business. Prices, obviously, we want a business that could take a price raise so we could just get some more value out of it, of course, there. But yeah, the biggest things: asset light, simple business with recurring revenue.
Sweet. So I guess like how many businesses have you guys purchased since you guys started doing this?
Just Yep, just one. So we closed on our first one last October. We're still looking to make our second acquisition. So just looking now, trying to find that second one.
Sweet. And what is the like what is the business that you guys are in?
We like to say we're in digital marketing, but the business does press release distribution. And so if people want to get the word out about a product or service that they have, they can upload a press release to our site, and then we get it out to different endpoints. So Market Watch, Yahoo Finance, Fox News, Digital Journal, different news, online news endpoints. We distribute it for them, and so we just have different packages to different level endpoints, basically.
Super cool. I guess like what was the most like challenging part of transitioning like into this kind of industry coming from like an engineering background?
I don't think coming from an engineering background was like it inhibited us at all. I don't think it really helped us per se. Actually, I do think, engineers have a way that they go about solving problems, and so like testing hypotheses, just having like a more structured way to approaching things. So I think that's always helpful. And all of us are engineers, all four of us, um, that we're doing this, but it's I don't think it helped or hurt us necessarily. All the information to do all this stuff is online, or there's people out there with the information that are really happy to share. SMB Twitter, there's like a whole bunch of people that all the time they're tweeting about the acquisitions they're making. They're tweeting like, you could reach out for help if you want. Like they're all pretty open. And it's cool. I mean, even like one podcast I listen to a lot with, some people doing this kind of thing is My First Million. And it's just crazy how accessible like some of these people are. So I mean, Sam Parr, who runs the My First Million podcast, I was just out, working out Brooklyn Bridge Park doing some pull-ups. I just look over and like he's just doing some pull-ups. I go talk to him, and then ended up going to an event that he had in the city and stuff. And you just meet a whole ton of people that are interested in the same type of thing, and really really just want to all collaborate. So it's cool.
I agree. Like, I've been reading about this concept called Lee Ren, which is like this idea of like a humanist community where like people, like you said, people are more accessible than you think, and like we're a lot closer to people. And if we just focus on like building our relationships and building our network, like you would be surprised at like the types of things you have access to that can just help you in like your journey, no matter what it is. Which is
Yeah, definitely.
awesome. Um, but I'm curious because, like, Chris, you are a very interesting person just in terms of, like, your perspective on life in general and, like, being someone who's trying to find the most efficient way, I guess, to just go about living your life in a very non like, conventional, just structured 9 to 5 way, and,
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, if you can just, like, talk a bit about this side of you, like, not the business focus, but, like, the person that's really, like, why you're even doing all of that work, why are you even going about building businesses is to get this,
Hmm.
like, freedom, that we're seeking
Yep.
of, like, being able to just be free people. But I'm curious, yeah, can you speak on it?
Oh yeah, no, I love the lifestyle. It's like my days usually, I'll wake up, maybe go on a long bike ride, like maybe go for a run, do some yoga, like every single day. I'm getting to exercise a ton, do a lot of yoga, eat well, like cooking for myself and stuff. So it's just the lifestyle, the wellness piece of it. It's all amazing, and I mean, yeah, it's what I'm chasing. Definitely freedom. So like last winter, like I was in the city, and I was like, I don't really want to be cold. So I just went down to LA for January to April, and like it was amazing down there, just being in the sun every day. That's actually where I got, really, really into yoga too. Going on to yoga on the bluffs. I don't know. I just like living life basically. I like, hiking. I like just being outside, exercising. I love doing, some more intense workouts too. Like I want to be able to just pop on a 50 miler bike ride like if I want to. And it's just not something you could do if all your time is getting sucked up by a job. So,
Yeah, facts,
yeah.
facts.
And then yeah, I think yeah, for me it really is freedom to just like right now I can pick up what I want to pick up. So I'm doing Spanish lessons every day. Like, you know, um but like every day. So hour-long lessons with teachers, with other students and stuff online. And it's like, it's cool. It's fun. I could pick up like hobbies. I could pick up uh new skills and stuff. I just have the time to do pretty much whatever I want in the day. So it's uh it's definitely a really cool way to live, and I'm excited to keep living like it really.
I feel that. I feel that. I feel like it's that ultimate goal of just being able to be a free person and not have it be so predictable, like what you have to do every day, but be able to kind of just go with the flow and experience what there is to experience. I'm curious, like, I remember when you went on that road trip, like, how many of like the national parks did you end up stopping in on your way from like Michigan to Washington?
The first road trip to the one I took with Deontay and Mike, I hit like Rocky Mountain National Park, Arches in Utah, Zion, Bryce Canyon, um, and then Redwood, and then so I think that was, yeah, that was 5. Then we got up to Seattle, and then we went to Glacier on the way back, so that was 6. So then, and then we hit like a lot of state parks in Oregon. We had some state parks in Washington too when we were out there, and then hit some state parks in like California as well. A lot of California was on fire though during our road trip, so couldn't really do too much there. But yeah, that was an awesome trip. About 3 weeks on the road, you know. And then I actually, when I was going back from LA this time too, I stopped at all the other Utah parks that I didn't get to see. So I went I left so I, when I went well, first from LA I went down to like Carlsbad, hung out with some friends there for like a week, and then Carlsbad is awesome. It's like between San Diego and LA. Absolutely beautiful, like chill beach vibes, you know. You could be on a hike though quick, like awesome spot. Then I drove up the coastal highway to to the bay, like where Charles where my friend Charles is, and then stayed with him, and you know, just sleeping in like the Walmart parking lot and stuff on the way up the coastal highway. Awesome vibes, you know, like just beautiful scenery all the time. And then driving back, I took the loneliest road in America to Great Basin National Park, and highly recommend Great Basin. It's kind of out the way, so they really don't have that many visitors every year. But it's like I forget the word for like a starry night something. I forget what the word for it, but it's like one of the best places to see stars, so you can like see the
Oh, is it
galaxy. Or
like one of those like dead zones where like there's no
yep.
light pollution? Oh, that's lit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like one of those. It's called the loneliest road in America, and the internet kind of gassed it. I thought it was gonna be nobody out there, but like it was other cars, you know. Like I would see people like every 15, 20 minutes. So like there were still other people coming by. But yeah, that park was cool. Camped out there. Next day went over to Capitol Reef in Utah. Then Capitol Reef, I went to Canyonlands National Park the next day. And Canyonlands, absolutely crazy sky. You're looking up, you can see like the Milky Way. Absolutely insane. Did a hike like that day by myself out there, you know. And then yeah, it was just took some, you know, had some portobellos too, and it just really enjoyed the day out there by myself. It was insane.
I'm dying. Portobello, sure, sure. Um,
Portobellos.
I mean, I feel like you obviously love the outdoors and you're a psycho in terms of like you do some of the most craziest shit, like not as prepared as one should be, but you do it anyways. And like you're so, I guess, like brave in this way, or like have this, confidence to be able to just go out there and just enjoy it. I'm curious, like, how do you go about just like overcoming fear in like those instances of exploring things that are new? Especially I feel like because like I don't know, with different people like will not even go out into nature for whatever reason or not visit,
Yeah.
the national parks that America has and their some of the greatest assets America has. And it's such a shame because like fear will stop them, or they're like, oh, it's
Mhm.
dirty, or there's a bear might eat me, which almost happened to you guys in that, in that one instance. But you still go out there and do it anyways. So I'm curious, like, how, like, where does that drive or this like love for nature come from?
Yeah, no, I mean, nature's just it's amazing. Like I feel like everyone that hates on it just hasn't really been out there that much, you know. You couldn't like go see those views and then not want to get out there more, you know. So it's like I think that's one part of it. And then two, I don't know. I just kind of I like being on the extreme side better than you know, like just not, I guess, you know. So um I would say that. I mean, it's like I just like doing things that are hard, I guess, you know. So like I remember when Will asked me to go on that like the 40 miler, you know, like he said
Y'all are
you trying to go on
crazy,
a
bro.
he was like, you trying to
Crazy.
go on a bike ride. I'm like, yeah, let's ride some bikes. I pull up. He's like, all right, we're gonna bike to Livonia. I'm like, Livonia, 40 miles. Like, but you just gotta say fuck it and just hop on a bike and start. And I mean, now I've been doing 50 milers like every 2 weeks. So like you just gotta start somewhere and then it gets easier. But I don't know. I just like doing some things that are extreme. I feel like you get better stories when you try do
And you
extreme stuff.
definitely have stories to tell. I mean, are you, like, thinking
Yeah.
long term to, like, because I know you're trying to get into sort of the content creation space as well.
Hmm.
I guess, like, yeah, what have you thought about telling, like, the story of Chris Lee? Because I feel like, yeah, you're definitely one of those people that is be out there trying to live and experience and grow,
Yeah.
and it's awesome to see, and I think it can be very, inspirational, especially to other minorities that don't have, like, the privilege of getting those experiences or thinking that that's something that is within their culture even, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely want to tell some stories. For the longest time, I've like kind of muddled over it. I really just got to turn the mic on and just tell some stories and see how it goes. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, I want to get them out there. Um, yeah, you know what? I've been thinking about the medium too long. I got to just start recording them. I got to just start
Exactly,
recording
like,
them, throw them
literally
out.
with everything else you've done, you just jump in and figure it out, right? So it's no
Yeah,
different, it's literally no different. Like you said, it will naturally evolve and grow because that's what all things do, they change with
yeah,
time. So it's just like getting the first episode out there, getting the first clip. I mean, your TikToks aren't even bad. Like they're pretty awesome of like just that New York vibe. I guess like how have you been enjoying living in Brooklyn? Honestly, like that's one of my like I love New York. Like I love it so
yeah.
much. Like
Yeah,
so
New York
nice.
New York is amazing. I love living in Brooklyn. I mean, just hopping on my bike too, like right over to Brooklyn Bridge Park, like Brooklyn Bridge Park, or right over to Greenpoint. Right to Long Island City over in Queens. Just like I'm a big park guy. So I'll just be riding around my bike. Love the summer out here. Just amazing vibes, and I love that there's just so much to do. It's like I mean, you remember at college, it's like maybe, you might pregame and a bunch of people in college, so there's a lot of moves in college too, but for the most part it's buckets. It's like, all right, you could be like at like a kickback at someone's house, you could be at the bars, or you could be at like a house party. But for the most part, like the kickbacks, and they're always fun, but it's you and your friends. Your friends, like it's the same people all the time, like and then like the bars, similar crowd at the bars too. Like it's a very similar vibe. Like if you go to Rick's, they're gonna be playing the same music every Thursday. Like so I would say the crazy thing about New York is just like you really just don't know how you're what you're gonna get into. So like yesterday, met up I met up with so Kamari, one of my friends from Michigan, had reached out. He had sent me an event. So I pulled up there, and like it was like me, him, and then two of my friends from Jersey. So like and then we pulled up there. From there, like it was a cool vibe. Met some people there, and then went to my friend Johnny told us about this like little house party. So we went there, and that was in Brooklyn. Like that was also in Brooklyn. So we went from like Bushwick over to like I think it was like Prospect Lefferts or something like that. Just a different neighborhood, completely different vibe, like completely different people, like much smaller, like function, just inside someone's apartment kind of thing. Met some people there. Then we went to like the city, like went to Manhattan, and we were just like on a rooftop with like crazy views of the Empire State Building, a whole like Manhattan skyline, great music, like a lot more people too. It was like a rooftop. It was just like there's such different vibes, and you could really just be outside and just experience a ton of different things. Um and I'd say it's like people say it's an expensive city, but it really just depends on what you're doing. Like yesterday, the first event I went to, like I just didn't get there before 6, so I had to pay $10 to get in. And then like but the other two things were just they're just people throwing parties, so I didn't have to pay anything. Like every Monday I go to free yoga, like over in the waterfront. Like there's a bunch of free stuff you could get into. Like just riding your bike around is free, just soaking in the vibe. Like going to the parks is free. So it's like people get caught up like, yeah, you could spend a lot of money here. You definitely it's like not could it's easy to spend a lot of money here, if you like you're going outside on those types of times. But yeah, if you could also just find free stuff that's like equally as fun too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a great note to add because I do think a lot of people will be like, here's this dude that's hella privileged and living in, New York City, is balling, living the life. But you're like, no, like there's things you can do on a budget and still have that great experience. You just have to look for it. And it might take a little extra work, but hey, it's worth it in the end. Cause like I can imagine yoga like on you said the water.
Yeah, I go to, like, Long Island City, so it's in Queens, and then you get the whole Manhattan skyline, like, from the Queens side, so over the river, and then it's just, like, the sun setting over the buildings. It's at, like, 7 o'clock on Mondays. Absolutely beautiful, like, amazing vibe. They got this field over there in the park where, like, everyone just does yoga, and
Do you
it's
know what
yeah.
type of like yoga you guys are doing?
Mhm. Yeah, it's a normal vinyasa flow.
Oh, lit. Yeah, no, I love hatha and vinyasa, like, I
Yeah.
preach it from the mountaintop. What got you into yoga then? How what was your first exposure to that?
First exposure to yoga, I feel like one of my friends, she had me go to a core power class out in like Seattle, that summer I was out there, and core power was fire, but that it was tough. I mean, core power, hot yoga, like they got your core going crazy. Like it's definitely tough, shaking, But so that was my first experience, and then during the pandemic, I was like, I got a whole lot of time on my hands, especially classes when pass fail, and at that point, I looked at, all my classes and saw, okay, in everything except one class, I already have enough points to get a passing grade, even if I didn't hand in another assignment. So I just stopped handing in assignments and like except for that one class. So I had time. I had real time, like even before class got out. So I started doing yoga with the Down Dog app. And then like that was fire. Just I really loved doing that. And then I kind of fell off with it when I went, back to Jersey. Fell off. And then like when I was traveling around, like I lived in like Austin, LA, San Diego, and Denver. And I definitely wasn't, I was falling off when I did that all the first times. The second time I went back to LA, though, I found out about this thing, Yoga on the Bluffs, and it's down in Long Beach. Absolutely amazing, right on the water. Like you're in this elevated park, and it's just the water, like the sun's glistening off of it every single day at 11 for free. So then like incredible vibes. You can't have a bad day after you go there. And so I just got into it. Like me and Mike would go all the time. And so like we would just go to yoga. Then we go to they have the farmers market across the street, get some like fresh pressed juices and stuff. Like
I
and
feel
I was
you.
just yeah,
Vibes.
vibes, absolute vibes. So then like we couldn't drive down to Long Beach all the time. So I would do the app sometimes too. I was probably doing yoga like 4 days a week when I was out in LA. But then I got back here and I was like, yeah, I love yoga. Like, so then I just started. Have
Love
you heard of
it.
you heard of
So good.
ClassPass?
Is it I think I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever done them myself.
Yeah, ClassPass is awesome. It's like you pay. I don't know, like $60 a month, something like that, and then you get credits to use at different classes. And so then I'll go into like I don't even know, probably somewhere like 10 to 15 yoga studios out here in Brooklyn, like just using the credits from ClassPass, and it's been dope. Like tons of different types of flows. Uh mostly vinyasa and hatha, but like ton of different types of flows. I went to one like yin kind of
Yin is
like
so
yeah,
good.
a
I'm
yin.
doing that later,
I
literally after this.
yeah. I love yin flows. When I'm on the app, I usually do the yin flows, just melt
So
into
good.
everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
Mhm.
So good.
Yeah, I went to one that was like in Nadira, like we just, half sleep in class, like, but it was yeah, I mean, it's been awesome. I love like the different vibes of different studios too, because it's like, some I'll pull up and like people are mad friendly, everyone's kind of talking. It's a community. And then they'll have us do some like really crazy skill building. It's been funny that I feel like the most talkative groups is always the studios where they're like they're teaching you to do a handstand, or like they're really getting you into some poses, like they're trying to get you into that eagle, but and then there's, like Y7 or core power, that kind of thing. People are kind of getting in and out, but again, like everyone's just sweating it out. Like it's a great vibe. You just can't have a bad day when you do some yoga.
I
So it's like,
know. I'm telling you, it is like the cure. Like, and low key, it makes so much sense because like yoga is like the science of life and like of movement,
mhm,
and it's like supposed to be this thing, or at least I look at it as like not only a workout, but it's like aligning your body. Like in this, like because you're doing all these like patterns of movement, which to me is like a form of sacred geometry, the way that we move our bodies, and like every
yeah,
time you do it, it's like healing. Like you're healing your body, you're building strength, you're building heat, and you're training the mind. And it's like amazing. Like I
yeah.
can't say that enough. Like yoga, if there's one thing I could recommend to the entire planet, it would be like I wish our culture just like every morning we started the day with like a morning salutation of like a hatha series or something. Like how could you be upset after that? Like I
Yeah.
don't see it. After a nice savasana, just under the sun, like
Is incredible. It's meditative. It's just like, yeah, you can't have a bad day. And then you're less injury prone too, Like your body just feels better. Like you just literally feel better all the time. Yeah, I love it.
crack. That's what I say. Yoga is
Yeah.
literally like movement crack. It's so good. Like highly recommend. But I'm curious, out of all the states that you've lived in, which were the ones that I think like really made an impression on you, or did they all sort of like have their mark that you will always
Oh,
like have fondness of?
oh yeah, nah, they all got their chapter, like they're all great. I would say yes, everything's just so different, Like I loved like Austin. Austin, I still say I think that's probably the most fun like nightlife city in the country. And not to say you can't have a better night out in other places like New York, you could have a crazy night out of course, but like just pound for pound, like Austin, you don't even need to find moves. You go down to Rainy, you go down to 6th Street. It's just like the moves are just there. Everyone's real fun. Like all the places are cool. So I loved Austin, and I love it too. It's like it's Texas, but you get out there on a lake, you get out there on a hike, like in some mountains, hills type things. Like it's a lot to do out there. That you wouldn't think. You just think of Texas as being flat. But Austin has some scenery too. So I love it there. I mean, Denver. I love the hiking near Denver. Um, Unfortunately, I had like a little concussion when I went out that way from when I was golfing in Austin, but like
If y'all only knew the story behind the concussion, I'm
yeah.
dying. You just making it seem like I had a concussion. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, got hit in the head by a golf ball. Ridiculous. But yeah, when I was in Denver, so the first few weeks, is like not as active, but definitely getting on hikes. Love it out there. There's tons of nature stuff to do out that way. Good golf too. Texas was also good golf. I liked it out there. And then I mean LA, San Diego, just Southern California in general. I mean, LA, I like LA, right? But Southern California, I'll say more broadly, because San Diego and Carlsbad got it. Those are just it's sublime. It's beautiful vibes. The sun is shining. Like you could be on a hike or the beach in the same day. Like I remember one day we went from snowboarding like to the beach. Like we were in the morning, we were snowboarding, and then like we got back, and then we're sunset for the
That
beach. So
elevation, microclimate, I swear.
yeah, it's insane. It's insane. So like LA, we were going on hikes 4 days a week, 3, 4 days a week. We're going on a hike. It's just it's beautiful scenery down there. I love the proximity. Seattle, I wish I would have had a car when I lived out there, like cause we went on some hikes for sure, but like that summer out there, like it's beautiful.
It
Seattle in the
hit
summers
different,
just it
it
hits
hit
different.
different,
Yeah.
especially with that when Mount Rainier is peeking out, oh my gosh, you'd be like, "Am I
Yeah.
in Switzerland? Like,
Oh
what
yeah.
is this?" Like, it's
Oh yeah.
gorgeous. Absolutely
Absolutely
stunning.
gorgeous. And of course, like everything has, like is pros and cons. Like LA, the traffic is nutty, like in Seattle, it was like Seattle in the summer is awesome, but like nightlife is if mid, like and then like so is everything has its pros and cons, but yeah, not all awesome places to live. And it's like I feel like, while we're young, you should move around, like experience different places, see what you really like.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But not even just within America. I'm trying to start to figure out how do we live abroad, like
That's
trying to do that extended vacay in Bali, you know what I mean? Or just like living
facts.
off of Phuket and just, try we go to Fiji, we check out Tahiti, like what's the move?
That's I'm about to go live in Colombia from like January to April, I think. So I'm gonna
It's
try it
lit.
out.
Lit. I'm curious, like, for people that like hear your story and they're like, I want to be like this dude. I want to be able to just be able to set up my day how I want and be able to secure income for myself and just be able to travel and experience life, which I think is what everybody really wants. Like when people work, it's really just to have the money to do the things that they want. I guess like what advice would you give them just knowing like you are also that person that was trying to find a way out of like this 9 to 5 cycle and like cultivate a path without really like
Hmm.
having a clear roadmap. It's not like you had someone that was like, "Here you go, Chris.
Yeah.
This is exactly what you have to do." What advice would you have for them just like on that journey of like even just taking that first step or that leap of faith to just give it a shot?
Yeah, I would say just like figure out what you place value on. So it's like when I first got back, like when I was starting at Accenture, I was living at home, and so I was just stacking at first. Like I'm not spending money on meals. My mom's cooking. I'm not spending money on rent at first. So September to and really I could say I was getting unemployment that whole summer too. So I was living out in Michigan and I was spending money. I was like going golfing and stuff, but and like food I had to pay for and rent, but it was getting covered by unemployment. So by the time I get back to Jersey, like I could just stack the whole paycheck. And so it's about what you place value on. Like I was just literally not spending money, saving up. And so then even by the time I go and live in these different places, like if I go live in Southern California for a month, I'm paying the same thing that I would have spent on rent, like at a long term Airbnb anyway. And then like I'm trying not to spend too much on rent. So I know a lot of people like they'll look at apartments, like I've talked to a lot of my peers in the city and they're like, "Oh yeah, you can't find a spot for less than 2,000." And I'm like, I mean, my spot's 900 a month each. It's like a lot of my friends are like, "Nah, you got to spend 2,000 each for like a $4,000 two-bedroom or something." People are spending crazy amounts on rent, and I was just like, if you value that, if you value having that much nicer apartment, that much more than like the extra freedom, then like yeah, go with that. But if you want to have some flexibility to travel, or if you want to you know, quit your job or not have your job, then yeah, just find some concessions, find some ways that you can save a little bit. Having this flexible like kind of rent up until now too is so helpful. Like so this apartment we signed a year long lease and it's 900 a month, 3 bedroom, so 2,700 a month. But like before this, we were in like month to month spots. Like even our last landlord in New York, it was 1,200 a month, huge apartment, and it's like we could literally stay as long as we wanted month to month. So it was just, you know, this stuff is out there. You just got to look and make the concession if you want to. So I'd say kind of just paint what you want it to look like. Because like, yeah, if you don't like your job, just don't stay in it. It's not serving you. So it's like, but at the same time, I'd say figure out what you can learn while you're there, of course, figure out like how you can get better. But like, if you're hating it, you're hating your days. Don't hate your days. Just change them. Like
Don't take the
figure out.
Xanax, choose freedom.
Yeah, choose freedom. Like choose what you want to do with your day. It's like you only got one of these, and there is no like real rules. Like we kind of make up all of these. So it's like you just gotta figure out what's gonna put a smile on your face today, and then go with that, and then like make some concessions if they're concessions that you want to make. Like I'm not the type to want to go out and spend a lot like on drinks. Like I actually recently stopped drinking, but like even before I stopped drinking, I was the type, I'm a pregame. I'm not spending these 17 money in these $17 drinks. I hated that. Like dinner, I'm not the type to go out to like a $50 spot. Like I'm gonna go to the $20 spot, like just a nice meal. Like I don't need a crazy, formal thing. So it's all about what you want to spend your money on. Um, and so that's one thing I would say. Cause like right now, it's not like I'm not balling. Like my life looks fun for sure, and it is fun. It's mad fun, but it's not expensive. Like I'll be riding my bike around. I go to free events, like or the events I'm going to, they're not really costing too much more than like 20. I got great friends too. Like my friends will bring me to some events too. Like the Knicks game. My friend got those tickets and stuff. Like when Curry broke the record. So it was just some stuff. Like I'm just lucky to have great friends, and lucky to be around great people. But for the most part, like I'm managing the money that I have well, so that I can do what I want to do. But it's not like I'm not out here balling. Like it's not a lot coming
I
in.
think like what it is like you've cultivated to some degree like very good Lee Ren. It's like this idea of like you really built relationships with people that are fruitful. In just the way that you can do a bunch of things together. Like sometimes you guys support one another in different ways, and as a result, you get
Yeah,
to live the experiences that are, like you said, what you value most because you sacrifice for that. And I think that's awesome to kind of just like balance it out for people to understand. Like I think like sometimes even on like the gram, people will get like this misperception of what people's lives are, but like they don't understand. There's so many layers to it that allow you to have that, and it's just something to keep in mind.